My girlfriend drained my money into her saving to move out. I found out. So, I cut her off. I'm Tom, 32, and I work in finance. My life is pretty straightforward. Work hard, save up, plan for the future. That's just who I am. Maybe that's why I fell for her, my girlfriend of 2 years. She's the opposite of me, artistic, impulsive, living in the moment. I never minded that difference between us. Actually, I kind of liked it. I thought we balanced each other out. She made life seem lighter. Things started getting weird around 6 months ago. She mentioned wanting a beach vacation, just the two of us. Something relaxing to recharge. And at first, I liked the idea, too. But when I started talking about budget and saving up for it, she'd just sigh and say, "You're so uptight, Tom. We could really use this." I knew she wasn't great with money. She'd often tell me how broke she was. She said she was juggling credit card debt, student loans, the usual story. It didn't help that she'd occasionally buy herself little luxuries. Once, she even showed up with this fancy handbag, brushing it off as retail therapy. I asked if it was a good idea, considering her finances, and she just laughed it off. As weeks passed, her request for the trip got louder. "I need this, Tom," she said one night, laying it on thick, her hand on mine. "You don't know what it's like to be distressed." She was looking at me with these sad eyes, and I found myself agreeing to it. I even offered to cover most of the expenses, since she said she was strapped for cash. "Thank you," she said, squeezing my hand. "You have no idea how much this means to me." The trip started out fine. She was in her element, bouncing around, snapping pictures. But soon, her behavior shifted. She'd order the most expensive things on the menu, pushing me to splurge on extra activities. Sunset boat rides, private massages. If I hesitated so much, she'd roll her eyes, saying, "Come on, live a little, Tom. What's the point of this trip if we don't enjoy ourselves?" I tried to keep up, but I finally pushed back a bit. "Look, can we slow down? This trip is costing a lot more than I planned." She scoffed. "God, you're so cheap. I should have just asked someone else to come with me." The comment hit me, but I let it go. I didn't want to ruin the trip. But then, things escalated. She spent hours at a beachside store, eyeing this ridiculously expensive dress. She asked me to buy it for her. I refused, and she got furious. "You know, if you actually cared about me, you'd understand that I deserve nice things too." That night, we argued. She accused me of ruining everything. I was too stingy, too focused on money. She stormed off, leaving me with a bill and a creeping realization that something was wrong. After we got back, things only got stranger. She was constantly busy with her phone, turning the screen away whenever I came near. Sometimes she'd be gone for hours, claiming she was out with friends or running errands. I tried to brush it off, telling myself I was being paranoid. But something about her distance was off. One evening, her laptop was open on the couch, and an email notification popped up. I don't normally snoop, but curiosity got the better of me. I clicked on it, and there it was. A bank statement showing she had a decent-sized savings account. Several $1,000s. Actually, she'd been making deposits consistently for months. The same months she'd been insisting she was broke. I felt like someone had pulled the ground out from under me. She'd been telling me she was out of money, practically begging me to cover this trip, all while socking away cash for herself. I closed the laptop, my mind spinning. Why would she lie? And what was she saving up for? I didn't confront her immediately. Instead, I kept watching, trying to figure out what was going on. A few days later, I stumbled on an email draft on her laptop. It was to a real estate agent about a new apartment she planned to rent. An apartment for herself. It was clear she was planning to move out. She'd even lined up furniture and was discussing lease terms. I waited until she got home that night and brought it up as calmly as I could. "I found some emails," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Looks like you're planning to move out." Her face went pale. She stammered. "I was going to tell you. I just needed a backup plan." "A backup plan?" I repeated, trying to stay calm. "Why would you need a backup plan if we're supposed to be building a future together?" She crossed her arms, her expression turning defensive. Tom, you don't understand. You're so controlling about money. I just wanted to have something of my own, just in case. You lied to me, I said, my voice rising. You said you were broke. You manipulated me into paying for that whole vacation. And meanwhile, you were saving up to leave me? She threw her hands up. Everyone has things they keep to themselves, Tom. I didn't want to depend on you for everything. That's not a crime. It felt like I was talking to a stranger. So, you lied to me because you wanted independence while taking my money. Don't act like you didn't want to pay for it, she snapped. You're the one who's always talking about planning for the future. You should be happy I'm planning for mine. She was twisting everything around, making herself the victim. I should have known, she continued, her tone icy. You never really cared about my happiness. This trip was the only time you actually did something nice. And even that, you couldn't do without complaining. That's not fair, I shot back. I've always supported you, she sneered. You'd probably marry me and keep me on allowance if you could. The sheer entitlement in her voice stunned me. All this time, I thought I was helping her get through a rough patch. I'd been her safety net, and now she was tossing me aside. Things only got worse after that argument. She was no longer pretending to care. She'd go out, often without saying where, coming back late and ignoring me. Her phone was always buzzing, and when I finally asked her outright, she smirked. Why does it matter, she said. You're already checking up on me, looking through my things. What do you want? A report on where I am every second. One night, I found her on the phone laughing. She didn't even try to hide it. When she hung up, I asked her who she was talking to. She looked at me, almost bored, and said, it's just a friend. You wouldn't get it. I'd had enough. This has gone too far, I said. If you're planning to move out, fine. But I'm done being used. She rolled her eyes. Oh, stop being so dramatic, Tom. I'm not using you. If you were really committed, you'd support me. But instead, you just want to control everything. Her entitlement, her complete lack of guilt, it all clicked. She didn't care about me. She cared about what I could give her. Every dinner, every trip, every little gift. It was all transactional to her. I made up my mind right then. You need to leave, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. You can take your savings, your plans, whatever, and just go. She laughed like I'd told a joke. Really? You're going to kick me out now, after everything? Yes, I said firmly. I'm done. For the first time, I saw a flash of anger in her eyes. Fine, she spat. I never needed you anyway. She packed her things over the next few days. Her presence a cold shadow in the apartment. I didn't help, didn't offer any more money. I was done giving. After she left, the silence in my apartment felt strange. Empty, but also freeing. I cut all financial ties, closed any shared accounts, even canceled a couple of subscriptions she'd convinced me to pay for. I blocked her on everything. She didn't reach out. In the end, I wasn't even sure if I'd ever truly known her. Maybe I'd been fooling myself into thinking we had something real, something that could last. But looking back, I could see the signs, the little manipulations, the guilt tripping the entitlement. In a way, I was grateful for the clarity. She taught me a lesson, even if it was a painful one. Love isn't about what you can get from someone. It's about respect, honesty, trust. And if those aren't there, it's better to walk away. I don't regret helping her when I thought she was in need. But I know now that true partnership doesn't come with strings attached or a hidden agenda. And next time, I'll trust myself enough to walk away sooner. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear them. So please leave a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more stories like this one.